Hello Outdoor Adventure students, Mr. Osmic here. Today I'm going to show you how to build an ice fishing rod. In the kit you should receive like a 36-inch blank rod, some brown thread, a handle, and some hardware, eyelets and things like that. Some other things you're going to need is a razor blade, don't cut yourself, a tape measure, some masking tape, and some epoxy to glue the handle on. And in addition to that, a big heavy book. Dictionaries work good. Just something you put the thread between this to make it nice and tight as you're wrapping the eyelets on. So before you start though, your kit comes with brown thread, which works. You can use brown thread. It's going to look brown. It's going to catch fish. But to make it a little more personalized, I would go to a store called Thorne Brothers or the Fly Angler. It's over by the National Sports Center in Blaine, and you can buy blue thread, ooh, beautiful, red thread, black thread, silver thread, pink thread, paisley thread. You can get multiple different colors threads, and what you can do with that, instead of having a plain brown thread on it, this is blue, and you can start to do some little fun things. They get a little silver stripe on it. Doesn't that look nice? Or this here is kind of a baby blue with some gold on it. It looks nice, and beautiful, nicely done. And they got a little zigzag pattern inside of it too. Something else you can do is, instead of using this cork handle, you can make your own handle. So this is out of pine. So just took a piece of pine from the hardware store and just started to sand and file and cut it down so it just fits in your hand more. Here I have maroon with gold, and so I made a little diamond pattern on it. You just take the gold thread and just kind of go back and forth on it. Here's a summer handle, but using diamond willow. It has a real cedar here where the reel would attach to. And then this is called marbling, where I had white thread on it, and then you put epoxy on it, and when the epoxy is wet, you put little bits of paint in it. It's a special paint from Mudhole, which is a fishing store, and you can kind of swirl that red, blue, yellow paint, and as it dries, it makes it kind of look marbling. So again, many things you can do to make it more personalized, like it's your rod. And so I highly encourage you to do that instead of doing boring brown. So let's get started here. You should get a sheet of directions also with your kit that your teacher has provided you. And the first thing it's going to tell you to do is to cut the rod down to 28 inches. So from the tip, measure down 28 inches, so be cutting the thicker end on it. What I would recommend doing where 28 inches is to put a piece of tape over that spot. So now when you cut through with a hacksaw, I'm going to grab my hacksaw here. So here's the directions. Again, use a hacksaw. It's a very fine toothed blade, so it's not going to splinter it. But with that tape on, as I cut through it now, it's going to prevent it from splintering or causing any kind of fraying on it. So I highly recommend that. The next thing the directions tell you to measure. So once it's cut, the directions tell you to put the handle on. And so as you put the handle on, I'm going to take this tape off where I was supposed to cut. And again, I'm not going to use this pole because the student's going to buy this one, and I don't want to wreck it for them because they might want it 36 inches long. They might want it 30. That's their choice. It's their rod. But as this handle fits on now, it's loose. It wiggles right in there. You really can't see it, but it's a little bit of wiggling taking place so you can see it. And so you don't want that in there. You need to make that tight. So what I'm going to do is get a piece, so the handle's on all the way, get a piece of tape to mark the end of it so I can pull this off now. And now I can take my masking tape and start to build up the rod where the handle's loose. Sometimes the hardest thing is getting tape off a roll. That's the hard part here. So right here is where the handle ended. So I'm going to put that on. I can take off this piece now I marked it. And I'm just going to, again, wrap this nice and tight. You don't want it loose. So I'm just building tape up, multiple layers. There's 1 twist, 2 twists, 3 twists, 4 twists, 5 twists. See if that's enough. I might need more. I might need less. Now the handle, oh, that's too much. So I'm going to take off maybe 1 wrap on it. There it goes. So that fits nice and snug right in there. Nice tight fit now. Now I'm going to epoxy this on. And so how epoxy works, this is a 5-minute epoxy. 1 part epoxy, 1 part hardener. Hardener on the bottom right down there. And so you can mix this in a disposable cup. Try to mix it 50-50, equal amounts. I would err on putting too much hardener in. So if you put more hardener in, it's going to get hard. If you have too much of the resin, it's not going to get hard. And it's never going to dry. So put a little bit extra hardener in it. Then you're going to spread that epoxy on the tape down to the end. And again, I'm not going to do it right now. And then when this slips on, you can spin it like that, and it should dry within 5 minutes. Now the handle's on for good. The next thing you need to do, in your little hardware kit, you have this little black circle. That's going to slide from the tip. It's going to slide all the way down, and now that black circle is going to fit right over the cork handle. Doesn't it look nice? Beautiful. So the handle's on. Now the next thing the directions tell you to do is to measure where the eyelets are going to go to. So from the tip, you're going to measure 2 inches from the tip, put a piece of tape there, 2 1/4 inches, and then 2 1/2 inches, and then 3 inches from there. And so most of the eyelets are going to be where the rod is bending. So, and it's your personal preference. Sometimes you have it farther here and get closer, but you can kind of see where it bends, and that's where you want the eyelets at on the natural bend of the rod. So we got those marked. The next thing's the hard part, tying the eyelets on. So let me show you how to do that. So I mentioned you're going to need a big, heavy book. What that is for, I'm going to put the thread, turn the camera down, put the thread through the book, some pages. I also have some stands right here, some just wooden cheap stands to kind of hold the rod in place. But now when I have the thread and I start to pull on it, it's under the book, so it's going to keep the thread nice and tight. You need to have tight thread on it. If you don't have these stands, you could take a cardboard box with little slits in the side, and it could also fit in here. It's just something to kind of hold your rod when you want to put it down. So to show you the knot, how to tie an eyelet on, I'm going to switch to a bigger eyelet and a bigger rod and use some rope to actually show you how to tie the knot better. All right, so let's tie the eyelets on here. So first thing, you have your eyelet. I like to, so this is the foot. Here's the eyelet. That part's the foot right there. I like to file that down. Again, it's pretty thick. You don't need it this thick. Just spend a minute with a file, just making that a little bit flatter. It's going to fit on easier. Then get a thin piece of tape. Put it right next to the eyelet. And like I said, I'm going to use, this is not a fishing rod, but it's easy for you to see it. I'm going to tape the eyelet to the fishing rod so the foot is still, you can see the foot is still exposed right there. All right. Next, this is a knot that you're going to need patience with. So I'm going to take the string, and again, it's going to the textbook, through the textbook. The first thing you're going to do is take the cut end, face it towards the foot, as so. Now I'm going to start to rotate. I'm going to hold it down. Some people will actually even tape it down, tape the thread down right here, just a little bit right there. But you're going to wrap around. There's my string again. And this is the key thing that you have to do is cross over. See how my thread crossed over it? Right. So it crossed over. And I'm going to keep unwrapping. You just want to have the thread go right next to the pre-existing thread. And now I can take this tape off right here. Because the rope is tight to the book, it's holding by itself. The pressure of this line going over this cut end right here is enough to keep it in place. If you get your line loose, it's going to come all undone. So I'm going to wrap up maybe 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times. Then I can take my razor blade, cut off this excess stuff right there, and then I can even slide this up towards the eyelet more. Ooh, maybe I can't. Maybe I got too tight. There it goes. So again, I slid up towards the eyelet. Here comes the eyelet right there. And again, it's just one string next to the next string, not going to overlap. Now I'll get to the foot. I'm going to pull it up a little bit. So I moved it up on the foot. They got a little gap. I'm going to wrap about 5, 6 more times right here. I ran a string it there. So I'm going to keep unwrapping, try to get right next to each other. And then, once I get up high enough on the foot, I can slide this all down in one piece. And now I'm up on the foot, and I can keep unwrapping. I can adjust the string. I'm going to keep on wrapping. And again, I ran out of this yellow string because I don't have it long enough. So you keep unwrapping until you get, once you get up here, now I can take this tape off that I had on the eyelet because the string's holding them in place. And I'm going to keep unwrapping until I get to the top. And next I'm going to show you how to finish it off and how to tie off without it coming undone. Okay, so to finish it off here, so I've been wrapping up towards the end of the eyelet here. I'm getting close to the end. You want to get another piece of thread. I'm going to use pink just so you can differentiate between it. I'm going to put that thread, I'm going to back it up a little bit here, underneath the yellow thread, facing towards the eyelet, and I'm going to continue to wrap. Maybe 10, 15 times. Again, this is thicker thread, so it's not going to work as nice. And then I'm going to cut the yellow thread. So now it's cut. I'm going to keep it tight the whole time. I'm going to put it through that loop I made in the pink thread, pull it tight, and now, as you can see, I got my yellow thread right here that's cut, my pink loop. When I pull this pink loop, it's going to grab the yellow thread, and it's going to pull it one solid twang. It just pulled the yellow thread underneath my tight wraps of the yellow one, and that's going to keep the eyelet in place. Again, this is really loose, but I thought it'd be easier to see with this bigger thread like this here. All right, and that's how you do it. Then you can cut off this longer end right here with a sharp razor blade to get it nice and close, and we'll look at that later on. So that should be a start of it. Later on, I'll actually show you the real rod. I'm not sure how the camera's going to zoom in on it, but I think it'll be a good start how to start your fishing rod, the ice fishing rod. Get it measured out, get the eyelets on, at least the first one, and again, be patient. You're going to do this right here, and it's going to fall apart. You're going to do it one time, it's going to fall apart. You got to do it again, you got to do it again. That's what this product is all about, is having patience and perseverance and practice. I mean, the first time you do anything, it's not going to be very good. You got to practice and practice, and you'll get better. Key thing is keeping this rope tight under the book. If that gets loose at all, and that's why the stand can be nice. I like to actually do my rods out here away from the stand. I can wrap, but then I can kind of set it back in the stand if I want to take a break from it. All right, good luck, guys. I'm going to do another video later on a real rod and see how it turns out here.